Okay. So last week we were working on the Constitution test, right? And we worked on some Pearson. How many of you guys were actually able to get in and get some of those assignments done in Pearson? Like, can I get a thumbs up? Okay, awesome. So can anybody using the comments tell me what was the main focus of our Pearson assignments last week?
I'm looking.
What's his face?
You know, what's his face? Why is my picture blocking the newest comments? Hold on. There we go. Haha. James Madison. Jefferson and his presidency.
Yeah, Julia. Yeah, so we talked about Jefferson and his presidency. We're obviously condensing a little bit with e-learning. So we talked about Jefferson, we talked about his presidency. What was another big event that happened that we talked about that maybe you guys, if you guys did the interactive map, you would know what this big event was? It happened during Jefferson's presidency.
Involved a lot of land.
Involved a lot of land. Anybody? No, from Rory. Okay, so what I'm talking about today is the Louisiana Purchase. Alex got it. Alex got it right as I said it. Yeah, the Louisiana Purchase. So if you guys have a basic understanding of what the Louisiana Purchase is, it was a purchase of land that Thomas Jefferson made from Napoleon. You guys know Napoleon, the little guy over there in France? He made a purchase of Louisiana and a bunch of land west, not Napoleon Dynamite, and a bunch of land west, and that was now part of the U.S. And so there were two guys who went out and explored it. Who were these two guys? Lewis and Clark. Alex, yes, my answer guy today. My answer guy all the time. Lewis and Clark. So they went out and explored it. They explored it with their Indian friends Sacagawea, and now we went from having Alex has to take over. We went from having kind of a small part of the U.S. to finally seeing what all of it was. So for this week, we're skipping a couple events. Like I said, we have to condense some things down. So we're skipping a couple events. The next thing that we're moving on to is we're learning about Andrew Jackson's presidency. So Andrew Jackson is our 7th president. So we went from Thomas Jefferson to Andrew Jackson. So we're skipping a few. That's Old Hickory, yeah. That was one of his nicknames, is Old Hickory. So we're skipping quite a few. We're skipping over some events, but now we're into Andrew Jackson. One of the biggest parts that we're trying to get across to you guys with this week is that part of Andrew Jackson's presidency was the movement west for the U.S. So we have all this land now, and now people are starting to finally move out west and take control of it, get their land, explore the rest of America, just manifest destiny, like, vibes.
Can you explain what manifest destiny is to them?
I can. So have any of you guys ever even heard the term manifest destiny? In a museum? Okay, so manifest destiny. We're talking about movement towards the west. Can anybody give an idea of what they think the term manifest destiny means? Just take a shot in the dark. Creating your own future in the west? westward expansion, take your own destiny. I'm seeing some really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So kind of combining all those into one, Manifest Destiny was the idea that in order to progress America, it was necessary to move west, to expand, to grow our country as a whole. So yeah, people were breaking from these smaller states and getting land, creating more farmland, a whole bunch of new ideas and movements and stuff that came along with Manifest Destiny. It was just the expansion of America as a whole. So when you think about that, just think about America just growing and growing and growing that way. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have this idea of manifest destiny. So this is one of the reasons why for this activity I'm having you guys play the Oregon Trail. The Oregon Trail, as soon as we get it up and running for you guys, is actually a really fun and interactive game. There's a lot of decision making in it. It's not just something you can click through and be done with. You kind of have to find a way. Can you play this? You have to find a way to survive.
I'm impressed they know what the Donner Party is. Like, I was gonna say, you might need to explain, and if you don't know, if you want me to explain, I can, but just because otherwise,
go ahead and explain, because I'm not even sure I could fully explain that.
So the Donner Party is a group, a family that went out. Most people went out in large groups to travel westward. It was very dangerous. There was today, if we want to go to California, we want to drive there. We get on the interstate, we go. We follow the maps, the GPS, all of this. Back then, that wasn't the case. You had to know where you were going to go and the path you were going to take. At this point in time in history, there was a theory that you could take a shortcut through the mountains. But with this, there's one caveat: the weather. It was a great shortcut in the late spring and throughout the summer and the early part of the fall. But if you hit this area now called Donner's Pass too late in the season, you were going to get stuck by snow and cold, frigid temperatures up in the mountains. Okay. So, again, it could cut a few weeks off of your journey if you hit it at the right time of year. What they didn't know was the weather when they first went through. So, the Donner Party broke away. There was a big party of people, kind of think like a large parade. There was a large group of people. Half of the party was like, forget it, I want to get there sooner. I'm going to take this pass that's supposed to be a shortcut, so I'm going to go towards the mountains and go up through there. The rest of the party was like, nah, man, I'm just gonna, I don't care when I get there. I don't want to, I don't know if it's really gonna work. That I don't have a lot of information on that. I'm gonna go this way. Well, the Donner Party took the shortcut and got stuck by the snow and the weather and all of that good stuff. When they started really struggling, they had to find a way to survive through a winter in the middle of the mountains where nothing is growing. So they first started off, they would eat the animals that they had with them. They ate through all of that. They were using the wagons and breaking it apart for firewood. Then it started to get really rough and sketchy. So, as people started dying, they started eating them. This is one of the first real, true documented cases of cannibalism in the United States. I'm not going to say that it didn't happen before, but in the United States, it's one of the first actual documented cases of cannibalism. They did send a search party out for the Donner Party because once the other part of the party got to California, they set up shop and they kept waiting and kept waiting and kept waiting. And they were like, oh God, the other party is in trouble. They sent out a search party for the rest of them. And they only found, I believe it was one person alive, Donner himself. And he didn't really want to talk about how he survived and what he ate and various things. So yeah, cannibalism, and that now it's nicknamed Donner's Pass. So, anyways, that's the Donner Party. So I don't
Yeah.
know where you heard about it, Zako, but yep, that's that. Don't mind me. I'm on my other computer trying to look up the logins to see if anybody sent them to me. So keep going.
Yeah, so Alex, you can name it the Donner Party, but let's try to do better than what the Donner Party did. The ultimate goal of you guys playing the Oregon Trail is to survive the Oregon Trail. It's a strategy game. You have to make certain decisions at the very beginning of it that are going to affect your journey the rest of the way. You get to choose what supplies you bring, how many people you're bringing with you, like how many cattle you're using. The beginning of the game is all about the supplies, and then you got to try to find your way through the Oregon Trail. It's a fun game. You guys are going to have fun with it. I played through it like 3 times yesterday because it was just that fun.
I bet you played with your sisters.
I did. I did. All of them, I named my entire family because you can choose up to 5 people. So I have a family of 5, so it was my entire family. It was fun. You'll have fun. So that's what you guys are going to be doing on Thursday. So just thought since we were talking about Manifest Destiny, I'd talk about you guys playing the game of the Oregon Trail. You guys are funny. So before you guys get to play the Oregon Trail, though, you guys are going to learn a little bit about Andrew Jackson. Do you guys already know anything about Andrew Jackson already? He's dead. Yes.
Not what we were looking for.
Our 7th president, believe it or not, has passed away.
Shocker.
Yeah. So there's a lot of... Andrew Jackson is an interesting topic in history. Depending on who you ask, one of the most controversial early time presidents. And so for Wednesday, you guys are going to be working on an assignment. It's titled Andrew Jackson, Hero or Villain, where you guys are going to look at some political cartoons and watch some videos on Andrew Jackson, and you're going to give me your own opinion on Andrew Jackson. So either you think he was a good president, or you think he was a bad president. It doesn't matter. It's your opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. But I do want to see you guys using examples from the video, using examples from the political cartoons, and writing in complete sentences. I want to see an effort put in here. I want to see a good effort put in. Okay? So just some fun stuff about Andrew Jackson before you guys get to do any of the writing assignments about him. I think Julia said he's on the $20 bill. Yeah. He is on the $20 bill. Ironically enough, he opposed banks, the banks of America. Like, he did not support... Oh, it wasn't you, Julia? He did not support the banks. He was not a fan of them. And yet he still ended up on the $20 bill. Isn't that funny? It's a little bit of historical coincidence. It's funny, Alex. It's very funny. So, he also, on his very first day of becoming president, threw a raging party in the White House. A raging party. He invited many people because he was kind of seen as the president for the common man. Do you guys know what I mean when I say president for the common man? Yeah, like he was the president for the middle class American people. You know, he wasn't so hoity-toity. He wanted to be that everybody's man. So he decided on his first day as president to throw a raging party in the White House. This resulted in a drunken madness. China in the White House was damaged, curtains were being ripped apart, and Andrew Jackson himself even ran away and hid at a tavern for a while because it had just gotten so out of hand.
Uh-huh. So who took care of it? Who took care of all the party goers?
I don't remember who took care of them. I remember how they took care of them.
Yeah, how did they take care of them?
So the idea to take care of these drunken party goers was to take barrels of whiskey and put them outside on the Washington lawn, on the White House lawn, the lawn of the White House. So they have these barrels of whiskey outside. So the partiers follow the whiskey. And once everybody was outside, Andrew Jackson snuck back into the White House and closed all the doors. Party's over.
Yeah, he was an interesting president, man. If you got to do a biography on that one, he had a lot of, I've often said he's had a lot of similarities to Trump so far. Just in general. I mean, he fired person after person in the White House. He has been in duels. He's
many duels.
Yeah, many duels. He was a gambler. I want to say he had a horse race on the White House lawns. Yeah, because he wanted to gamble. So anyways, he's a really interesting kind of very wild president. So definitely different than some of the other ones we've had.
Yeah, at this point in time, we were used to very prestigious presidents. You didn't really have a president like Andrew Jackson, who was this wild, this outspoken, this rambunctious. He was just a completely new experience, and that's kind of what people wanted. Similar to when Trump was elected, they wanted somebody who was going to be more outspoken, and that's what they got. Same with Andrew Jackson. They got somebody who was very outspoken and let you know what he was thinking, and if it didn't match with what he was thinking, you were kind of out of the question. I believe his last words were, or his last day as president, or either his last day as president or his last words were that he regrets not shooting Henry Clay or hanging his own vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very interesting president. But like I said, there are some people that, depending on who you ask, would say he was a great president, did a lot of amazing things for our country, or he was a horrible president and he was just a tyrant. That's depending on who you ask. And that's why I'm having you guys do the opinion-based assignment after looking at some political cartoons and watching some videos on Andrew Jackson and what your opinion of him is. Because ultimately, your guys' opinion matters. Everybody's opinion matters. And I want to know what you guys think. So that's what you guys are going to be doing for this week. You're going to be working on Pearson as soon as you can get it open. And I figured out how to assign it. Mrs. Schnabel helped me big time. So you guys do not have to do the whole lesson. I have the specific ones that you guys will be working on assigned to you. Then Wednesday, you have your Andrew Jackson opinion piece. And then Thursday, you get to play the Oregon Trail, which is going to be really fun. Other than that, I think that's all I wanted to talk about today, Mrs. Schnabel. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add.
Yeah, maybe. I think you're good. Yeah, we chose to skip over just to let you know, there was Jefferson, obviously, is where we left off last week. In between Jefferson's time of getting the Oregon Trail, and then Jackson's time, really you have to understand that there was a lot of areas where we were taking land from the Indians and expanding our own
Relocating
and
Indians.
relocating Indians and
Hmm.
taking over more land. That was one big thing that was happening. And there was a whole big fight that really went to the Supreme Court, um, based off of the Indian land, in which the Indians lost. So that's like a really big court issue that happens, and that takes up like pretty much an entire section in your book. In addition to that, there was the bank wars. Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton went head to head. They were like, what the heck? Like, Alexander Hamilton was like, we need a bank. We need to have secure funds. People need to know that they can borrow money and, put their money somewhere safe and make money, and it will only grow our economy. And Thomas Jefferson's like, no, are you crazy? Like, that's the government controlling too much. And even in the show Hamilton, he says something like, Hamilton says, you want Jefferson, you want to give our economy a diuretic, and I'm trying to give it a stimulant. Um, so there's a lot of that, and there's a whole section based off of Hamilton and Jefferson and the bank wars. We know that the banks end up becoming pretty prevalent because all of your parents probably use a bank today. So those are some of the big issues that occur. Then there's the War of 1812. With the War of 1812, it was basically a second war for independence. Um, so when you had that second war of independence, it was basically the British came back in and said, hey, I still want this land. They actually never removed the British soldiers from the land, like out where the French used to be. So as our people started expanding more and going further, towards that manifest destiny, all of a sudden you had all of these people that were like, oh my God, there's still British people out here and there's soldiers, and the British came back in, and then we start again and we fight. And, there's the War of 1812. And this is when Dolly Madison is in the White House and it burns down. The British burn down the White House during the War of 1812. And Dolly Madison, before she leaves the White House, because the secure, I like Rory's face, the they didn't have Secret Service the way that they have today. You have to understand, when that White House was first built, you could go right up to it and knock at the door, like just like and say, I want to speak to the president. I mean, Thomas Jefferson would answer the door. And so did many of the other early presidents. Like, they didn't have secretaries. Like, Dolly Madison would answer the door for you. But with that being said, when the War of 1812 happened, the president sent in soldiers to go get Dolly Madison. He's like, get her out of the house. We need, and Dolly's like, wait, these are all historical, very significant things, and we need to get this and this and this and this. And instead of grabbing like her personal items, she didn't. She actually grabbed the portraits of the presidents. She grabbed some of the first china that was used. She was like, this is going to be important stuff. And the people are like, come on, we got to get out. And literally, they say in the history books, I was not there, that they missed the British soldiers coming in by minutes. Like, she was running out one door and they were basically coming in the other. So, I mean, although I wasn't there. So there's a little bit of that, and then we have to obviously rebuild, and that is that rebuilding, that kind of after the War of 1812, that rebuilding pretty much, and that's when Andrew Jackson actually got his like fame, pretty much was during the War of 1812. They called him Old Hickory. They said he was strong as hickory, as the type of tree, because no matter what happened, he would just get up and keep fighting. I mean, he would get in bar brawls. Oh yeah, I mean, like fist fights, the whole 9 yards.
He was actually a prisoner of war also in the Revolutionary War.
Yes, he was, as a child. He was only he was a child at the time. Like, so with that, and I want to say he spit in the soldier's face. And that's one of the reasons
the story he has a scar
or something.
officer came up to him and told him to shine his boot.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of shining his boot, he spit on it, and then they took him prisoner.
Yep.
This was after the British soldiers had already killed his mother and sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it kind of gives you a little bit of that history. You may be wondering, well, why are we missing all of these sections of history? Like, why did we skip these? Well, when the governor shut down the schools, he also gave us 25 days, like excused almost from our curriculum. So, you know how you only have to do work on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday? Well, you're missing Monday and Friday of every week. That's a lot of days where, we go through things. And you also have to remember that we would cover things for, 45, 50 minutes in class. And some of these activities don't necessarily take you 45 or 50 minutes. So we are just kind of giving you a crash course, of history and trying to give you kind of the snippets of really important things. So that kind of gets you up to obviously where Jackson kind of takes his presidency. We've now ended the War of 1812. Jackson has become very popular. When Jackson actually ran for the 6th president of the United States, and he lost that. And he said that it was corrupt. It was a corrupt deal.
Corrupt bargain.
Yep, the way in which he lost the presidency because he didn't like the way the Electoral College worked. So that there is a section in your book if you're interested in that, but that really kind of drove home that he wanted to be a president of the people, and that kind of brings us and fills the gaps to where we are now. So we'll be doing this, and then next week we'll kind of skip some more history and get into another section. So yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody? All right. I am going to stop the screencastify.
Delia has a question. Z
All right.
has a question. What's your question, Z?
Okay, while she's typing, I need to let you guys know a couple of things. One thing, when you guys go to do your Pearson Realize, sometimes it's going to take a lot of times of you clicking to get it in. That's okay. It does happen. And Pearson really doesn't like it when you type fast. You got to go slow. So I'll reiterate on that a little bit after Z's done asking her question.
I just turned, when I was on Pearson Realize, I tried to turn my assignments because I did them, but it won't let me turn them in.
Yeah.
For last week?
For today.
Yeah.
For today? As long as I can go in and see that you guys have them completed, then that's fine. You guys will be getting credit.
Okay, thank you. That was all.
Hey Z, that's part of what I was mentioning. Pearson Realize, and for instance, like Caden, I was able to get into your Pearson Realize right away, but Pearson really, really, really despises their system is not set up for people clicking fast through things. If you finish your, like, let's say you finish, oh, Z, mute your mic for a sec. If you finish your reading and you click like answer C, submit, Pearson may not have realized you clicked on answer C yet. You have to give it like some time. Answer C, count to 5, and that's 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. Submit. I don't know why it's like that. It just gets very confused by people typing fast. That's some of the problems that kids have when logging in. They're so used to typing in their codes and all that, their login information, that your fingers are going so fast, but Pearson doesn't pick up all of those keystrokes. It's like their website is, 25 years old, and it's not. So with that, if you're having problems, go slow. Like let everything ruminate, simmer for a second and then hit submit. It's a pain in the butt, but it will probably help some of your you know, some of your login and also submitting questions issues for sure. So definitely go slow because it does not like it.
So Caden is saying that his still will not let him log in.
All right, then Caden, in that case, you need to clear your cache because I sent you an email back. Because I was able to get onto yours instantaneously. The very first time I typed it, it let me it said, "Hello, Caden," and it was you. So it works. It's just not working on your computer. So hey, Caden, do you know how to clear your cache? Yes, no, maybe so.
And on that note, does anybody else on here need a refresher on how to clear your cache?
So just in case, if you need to clear your cache, you can go down to the launcher, which is in the bottom left-hand corner. It's like a little circle. Okay. I know Camden had to use the bathroom. What can I say? It was not me. It was not me. All right. So you can go there and then you're going to bring up the whole, like the settings. Okay. So when you click on the launcher, it should bring up like a little box of stuff and you should be able to click settings. I'm letting it load on my computer because it doesn't seem to want to load on my computer right now because I'm screencastifying and doing everything else. Once you go into the settings, you need to go down to advanced and click on advanced. It's at the very bottom. If you click on advance, and now I'm waiting again, and you scroll down, I'm looking for it. Where is it? It's here. Hold on. Languages, files, printers. Manage accessibility features, I believe is what it is. It's thinking. I am so sorry. It's thinking. Where is it? Text to speech, display.
I believe it's under the privacy and settings.
It
where
might
it
be.
says clear browsing data.
Yes, you take it because my computer's going slow. So
yeah, if you click on the advanced at the bottom of the page and you scroll down further, the first one you'll see is privacy and security. And it'll be a long list. It'll say like sync and Google services, manage certificates. You want the very bottom one that says clear browsing data.
Yep.
You'll click on that and it'll show you, it'll have your cookies and other sites and your cached images and files clicked. And you'll see that they're checked off in the little checkbox. And then you'll hit clear data and that'll clear your cache.
Because it's a possibility that your computer is still trying to log in underneath a very, like the old Pearson at the very beginning of school. Because the IT department completely wiped Pearson clean off of all the computers because it was supposed to link through the Google Classroom and it didn't. And then they wanted me to delete the Google Classroom. And I was like, I can't delete the Google Classroom. That doesn't work. There's assignments in there. So we had to go another way, which took several months. Finally, around January, we were able to get it back. But then, although you guys had your same logins, it may be saving the old way in which you have to get into Pearson. So if you clear your cache completely and you then go to the www.pearsonrealize.com, you should be able to sign in that way. So because and Caden, definitely I'm going to ask that when everybody else exits that you stick around just for a minute so that we can try to work through that with you specifically. and anybody else who is having problems logging into the Pearson Realize. Other than that, do we have any questions? All right, we got 3 more weeks to go, guys. We can do this. Thank you, Miss Williams. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I would just like to say that I appreciate you.
And I would like to say that I appreciate you.
Why, thank you. It's a challenging time for all, for sure. Even your parents who might have become, a little bit of teachers. So if you want to give them a good laugh today, tell them Happy Appreciation Day, Teachers Appreciation Day, since they're part of your homeschool teaching. I'm sure you'll make your parents laugh. With that, give them a good chuckle. It's always good to make people laugh. That kind of thing. So anyways, that's that. I'm going to stop this. You can go ahead and exit out of the classroom at this point in time. Thanks for joining us today. 45 minutes, that's like a normal class time. Yeah. No, I don't want to hide tools. I want to turn it off. I'm so trying, but it doesn't necessarily always like to turn off. I can video later. That's not a problem. But Kaden, please stay. Yay, it stopped recording.